Literally, for a moment there, I thought he was pumping me up. I thought he was setting me up for the best segment ever. But yes, we have had to bring in the experts because I think all of us, certainly as parents, don't laugh too hard, buddy. We are terrified because everything is changing so quickly. AI isn't only in labs and headlines. The bottom line is, and we see it in our industry, it's already been there. It's been creeping into home feeds, into classrooms, how our kids search for answers, into their intellectual capability right now. For many South African families, this brings both, obviously, some great new shortcuts, but a whole lot of new risks as well, from slick homework helpers to some misleading results. And our guest, Sandy Newborn from Odin Education, works on the ground with schools and parents to build simple, safer digital habits. I love that. And her team helps schools that need support to get practical access to learning resources, because there is a wealth there now, and shows teachers how to use the tools today. So we've set the context before we dive into 5 news stories where AI went wrong. And not to load a new fear, there is a very, I think, balanced argument to be waged here. Sandy, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I think we kind of set this up. You're going to save us all right now and help us, because I think we're starting to feel, certainly the older generations and parents, that we're out of touch. We don't know where AI begins and ends right now. So maybe you can start as that jumping off point. How is it shaping our lives every day, especially when it comes to our learners and schools?
Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here. So I think AI is more integrated into our lives than we realize. And I think our children are growing up with tools that shape their learning mindset that we don't actually even understand as parents. And I think it requires a big mindset shift for parents and teachers to firstly unconstrain our kids, because putting our limitations onto them in terms of our understanding of AI severely limits their ability to run with it.
Just like our generation when, hey, mouse and computer arrived, we get it. You know?
Exactly. But then, as you've also mentioned, it is our responsibility to also keep them safe and help them to use the AI responsibly and understand its limitations, and that AI is actually an input and not an output.
I love that. I'm going to stop you there for a second, because there is this terrifying kind of line in the sand that we seem to have crossed already, where we don't fully understand. We're asking something to do stuff for us, and we're not understanding how it is doing things. And it kind of feels like we're never going to be able to catch up, because we're given it a level of intelligence. But what worries me more is the lack of intelligence being shown by those using AI, and that damage. So is this about setting up a gateway to inform critical thinking before we give access to AI? How are you guys doing what you do within schools?
So what we do within schools is we provide an end-to-end solution. And it's not just about AI, it's about integrating, the standard curriculum, CAPS-aligned resources. There's a lot of really great platforms. Some of them are using AI, some of them are, learning platforms that are adaptive and have been around for years, but have really great resources for kids. So it's about a holistic view of education. And it's about bringing AI into that, but not to the exclusion of, the original resources, the ways of thinking, teaching children adaptability, critical thinking, along with that digital literacy and the AI tools and how to use them.
Because when we get that balance right, you're unlocking limitless data plus critical thinking. And that, for me, is when you unlock the genius, when you don't have to spend years doing that research. You can spend seconds and you can release the critical thinking and the creativity. So I love that. Exactly. The flip side of the coin as well is that you can fast forward. We can take communities and schools that have been so disadvantaged and unplugged from the mainstream, and we can fast forward things. So how do you see AI shaping the bigger picture of education and helping us, because it is able to really, in quantum speed now, move us forward?
Correct. So, for example, we've got kids in 12 rural schools across the country, and having a device with access to the internet now with AI can basically provide them with a tutor in their pockets.
That's
a child from a family that's never been able to, have personal tutoring or private tutoring. A lot of them get left behind in class because they're too afraid to ask questions or, admit to not understanding something. AI can now provide the ability to coach them, to run through concepts that they can do at home in their own time that they would never have had access to previously.
And talk about releasing the genius. I absolutely love that. And things are balancing out faster. And I think young people in South Africa are certainly embracing that. We're becoming very tech savvy, and I love it. For a school parent, though, who might not feel that tech savvy, where do we begin when educating ourselves in the AI space, or maybe empowering ourselves in the AI space?
Yeah. So I think, my business partner runs workshops on AI specifically for parents and how to, help their kids and, what do's and don'ts and keeping them safe. But the most important thing that we tell people is just play. And we write it PLAI because the best thing that you can do is really get out there and see what the kids are using, understand what the tools are. And don't be afraid to kind of step out of your comfort zone and explore a little bit, because it's only through that exploration, which our kids do so naturally, that adults don't, that we begin to understand this world that we're stepping into and that we're trying to raise our children in.
I love it. Maybe you can answer the midlife crisis by learning to play again. Go and find yourself a sandbox. And in the digital space, there is a lot of sand to play in,
Correct.
Even more so now. Not that we want to load a new fear. We have to approach this with all of the facts on the table. So we've singled out 5 stories, very real stories from late 24 coming into 2025, where AI warped the news, from traffic swapping summaries to some hectic deep fakes, and just give you some fast checks to keep you family fact first, okay? An opportunity for us to start not just educating, but empowering ourselves with tools. It's a whole brave new world out there, and we can embrace it.